Today, I am so excited to be with you, Tracy Beavers. Hi, we're doing this
Hi.
together.
I know, I'm so excited, Kylie. I'm excited to be here with you too.
Well, and it's so fun because I know this is going live on your podcast. It's going live on my podcast, and I always love demonstrating a podcast swap to my audience because I got so much good feedback on that episode, and they're
Yeah.
like, "It makes sense." So here's a great demonstration of a podcast swap for you today.
I love it. No, when you first told me you were doing these, I was like, that's really genius because, we book guests on our show and then you might as well get the most bang for your buck out of what you're doing. And then both of you get the recording and both of you can put it on your show and you only have to record it once. It's genius.
100%. Okay, Tracy, so I want you to kick it off. Introduce who you are, what you do,
Thanks.
just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm a business and sales coach from Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm also a wife, mom to two young adults. You and I were just talking about them before we kicked off the recording. I cannot believe that my kids are 27 and 22 and like navigating life like pros. It's just so cool. And John and I are in that phase where we're starting to be able to travel more. So that's exciting.
Mhm.
But so what I do for business, I help established coaches, course creators, and service providers build an organic visibility system that consistently brings in more list growth. Because, you and I are very much aligned on the list growth situation. And it consistently attracts those high paying clients that we all want to work with. And we do this without them being online 24/7 and also without having to think about buying ads.
Mm, I love that so much. I'm so excited to dive into that. I have questions for you.
I know. I have questions for you too. I want you to introduce yourself to my audience, please, ma'am.
I would love to. Okay, and so also, little fun tidbit. Tracy and I got to work intimately together. You were in my mastermind last summer in my beta group, and it was so fun just to get to know you, your heart, your business, and you were
Thanks.
my Leanne Morgan of our community. And you just always brought the giggles and all that. So I just adore you. And if you work with
Thanks.
Tracy, great choice, great choice. But so
Thank
my name is
you.
Kylie. I'm a podcast marketing and growth expert. I've been in the industry for over a decade now and have gotten the opportunity to work with amazing podcasters like Amy Porterfield, Kathy Heller, Natalie Ellis of Boss Babe, and since then have supported 150 female podcasters in really focusing on taking their podcast and making it the cornerstone of their marketing so they
Yeah.
don't have to be on social media all the time and they can really
Yeah.
grow their email list and then turn those subscribers
Mm.
into paying customers. So
Yeah.
it's been a fun journey and I just, love what I do. I've had
Mhm.
amazing success through just these marketing strategies. Like we grew Amy's podcast by 234%. One of my clients increased her revenue by 77% after we implemented all of these strategies. So lots of fun
Yeah.
things.
I love that. And okay, fun fact, you and your husband are full-time RVers, right?
Almost full time. We have to go jacks down in the summer for a few
Mhm.
months, but yes, we do. We live in a fifth wheel. We have an almost 3-year-old daughter and another one on the way, and we're not stopping. My friend just texted, actually a lot of people. So will you be moving back to Minnesota when,
Yeah.
for number 2? And we're like, heck no, we're figuring out how we're gonna make it work in this RV. We meet people and families who are like, I got 4 kids in the RV, and I'm like, okay, 2 is gonna be more than enough for
Oh my
us, but
god.
we'll make it work. And
Right. Right. That's exciting. So do you guys live in different places all year round?
well, we move around a little bit less now that we have a kiddo. And so, like, we've been in southern Utah this whole winter.
Yeah.
But we're going to go over to like Moab. And so we do we have the spots we like to go. My husband dirt
Yeah.
bikes, but we both mountain bike. So generally, we're just in the desert where we can mountain bike.
That's so cool. And is he also an entrepreneur like you?
He is a farmer in the summer, which is why we have to go back to
Mm.
Minnesota. And then he's a
Yeah.
full time daddy in the winter.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. Okay. All right. I know both of our sets of listeners are like, ladies, we are here to learn list growth and podcasting.
I
And
know.
I'm sitting here wanting to get into your personal life and
Catching
talk
up.
about
Okay. We're catching up. Okay, let me dive in first because you
Yeah.
use a word that I want more clarity around for my audience. So
Sure.
you help established coaches, course creators
Mhm.
build organic visibility system.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
what is the organic visibility system? Like, can you dive in? What does that look like? What makes that up?
Yeah, it's actually an ecosystem that I teach people how to build, and it is through I have an 8-week group coaching program called Business Visibility Made Easy that I developed after trying to run paid ads and wasting thousands and thousands of dollars. And I just got so frustrated with the whole process that I thought there's got to be more ways to build an email list other than just creating another lead magnet and putting it out on social media. And so back then, Facebook was my platform of choice, and it still is. It's where I've built my multi six figure business all organically. Back then, LinkedIn was a place to go find a job, and Instagram, I wasn't on it. I didn't understand it. I was like, So I dove into Facebook, and I developed over 10 strategies through that platform alone that when you layer them in the proper order that I teach, you actually build a visibility ecosystem that begins to turn on itself for you so that you don't have to think about, oh, I need to spend 10 hours this week growing my list. You just go in and you do your daily activities, your weekly activities, and your list starts to grow and your leads start coming in automatically. It's really cool. But it's little things like there's so many communities, and community is a big word for this year, for 2026. I feel like the people that are going to be successful in business are the ones who are going to make those genuine human connections and build relationships in community. And so Facebook groups, I mean, there's some really icky ones. But there's some really great ones where you can be visible and be of service, not promote anything. But if you have your Facebook personal profile dialed in the way that I teach, it's actually a list growth funnel for you. And it does the work for you. And all you have to do is show up and be your amazing self, answering questions, for example, about podcasting. If you're in a Facebook group with a bunch of entrepreneurs and people are like, my podcast isn't growing, or what's a great way to leverage my podcast? And you're there and you're answering their question. They're going to get curious about you, Kylie. And when they go to click on your personal profile, they slide right down to your email list. So it's things like that that end up creating this. I love to just call it an ecosystem because I feel like it gives everybody a great visual picture.
Okay, okay. So Facebook, I thought Facebook is dead.
Yeah, well, it's not. It is not. And people are sleeping on it. And I am here to tell you it is not. It is a great platform. I think there's 3 billion monthly users, if I'm not mistaken. That was the last stat that I saw. And our demographic, Kylie, online entrepreneurs, they are on Facebook and they're in Facebook groups if they're smart. Some people are stubborn and they're like, I like Instagram. Well, that's okay. That's cool. Instagram doesn't offer you communities.
No.
Right? So anyway, that I love Facebook for that. For that reason alone is the communities. But also with the strategies that I teach, you can take them over to other communities, ones that are housed on Kajabi or Circle or Heartbeat. So anyway, it's just fun to make sure that your social media profile is all dialed in to benefit you.
Well, it's so interesting because my husband, I never go on Facebook, but my husband he's like, I don't like the social aspect at all. I want to be in the communities. That's where
Yeah.
I find my dirt biking buddies and this and
Yeah.
that. So it makes sense. I haven't dove into it. So now you might be in my ear saying that. So, okay. So if
Love
somebody
that.
wants to start on Facebook, would it be
Mhm.
more beneficial for me, we have podcasters who are entrepreneurs. You have
Mhm.
entrepreneurs in your audience. So if somebody wants to go to Facebook and start, what's the right way to go about this? Are they going and joining communities first and just like being a support and just mentioning like, oh, offering advice, or are you going and you're starting your own group?
Oh, you could do either one. So I started my own free Facebook group. It's called Be a Confident Entrepreneur. And you're welcome to join us. Your demographic is in that group. We have over 4,000 members in the group. So you can do your own group because the way I teach, part of the ecosystem, the way I teach you to set up the membership entry questions, people want to give you their email address to be able to join the group. So that is a list growth funnel for you, having a free Facebook group. But you don't have to start your own free group. The best place to start on Facebook and your listeners can go look at my personal profile. You want to make sure that your personal profile is fully maxed out. Every nook and cranny of it is dialed in, talking about who you are, who you serve, and how. And your cover photo leads to your email list. That's the secret sauce of the personal profile. Once you have that done, Then go into a couple of communities. Don't do what I did. I joined like 10 or 12 groups and ended up overwhelming myself. No,
Yeah.
just pick two or three. If your audience is online entrepreneurs, come join mine and get the lay of the land. And if they allow promotion, promote in the thread or on the day they allow it. But other than that, Kylie, all you're doing is being of service. So,
Yeah.
like, for example, in my free group, if somebody said, "Oh, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. What's a great hosting platform?" Well, oh my stars, you could go in there and comment and say, "Hey, this is what I help my students and clients navigate. I like Buzzsprout. I like to record on Riverside. I like, da 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 da, and we use Descript for editing or whatever it is you guys do." And all you've done is help answer their question, but you've also planted a seed because you've said, "I help my clients and students do this."
Mhm.
And so they know, they're like, "Oh, she's an expert." And if they ever want to hire somebody, they're going to keep you in mind, especially if you're active in that group and they see your name a lot.
I couldn't agree with you more that this is the year for community. I just think that people are craving those personalized touches. And I, am not on Facebook yet, but I do like to use Instagram. And I just was on a call with my client this morning. We were talking about non social ways to grow her podcast. And
Right.
she said, "What do you use Instagram for? Because I know you're there. I know you're not posting a ton." And I said, "I use it for the direct message, voice message aspect.
Yes.
Every time I see
Yes.
a follower, I'm voice messaging them." And in my mentorship yesterday, I had two people literally say, "Kylie, you messaged me." And then I thought, I'm going to go check out her podcast. I binged and now I'm in your mastermind. And so it wasn't
Yeah.
even, I saw you posting reels. I saw you posting on stories. It was literally, that's my favorite aspect if we are going to talk about the social. And I
Yes.
always invite them right away to join my newsletter or somehow
Yeah.
get on my newsletter. I'm like, let's get you off of social. Let's get you on my newsletter as quick as I can, but we can chat here and that works. So I love these strategies and I agree with you.
Okay, Kylie. So you just said something really cool about over on Instagram, but what you said also applies to Facebook that I love. It applies to LinkedIn if one of our listeners is big in LinkedIn, and it's the DMs. I love connecting in the DMs, but what I want you to go back and say what you said again about when somebody follows you, what's the process and what are you saying to open up that conversation?
Okay. Yes. I love talking about this because while it is social, you can use this strategy and not be posting consistently on social or interacting all the time. So,
Right.
and you are so right. Like I just taught in my mentorship yesterday, I called it girl real marketing because here's the thing with smaller I say smaller businesses, but smaller podcast businesses, sometimes we have to do a little bit of footwork, a little bit of legwork. And these
Mhm.
are great ways to create super fans for your podcast or to get them to grow your email list, like you talk about
Mhm.
really efficiently with people who are very engaged.
Yes.
Okay, so anytime I get a new follower, I hop over there. Again, I literally have a template that my students can use that I use. You can use on LinkedIn, you can use on Facebook, you can use on
Yeah.
Instagram. And there's a couple ways I go about this.
Mhm.
One, if you have a juicy newsletter, which
Mhm.
I'm not a big fan of, like, especially because I'm in the podcast world, like sending out an email that's like, "Hey, I released a new podcast episode. Here's what it's about." People, they're
Right.
going to check it out. Give them something juicy, give them lifestyle,
Mhm.
give them industry updates. And by the way, give them the podcast episode if you have one.
Right.
But no, my newsletter is that way. I know it's really juicy. I have like 60% open rate. People love it.
Uh-huh.
I get it all the time. So I'm very proud of it. So when somebody follows me, I first start by sending them a canned message that I have saved in Instagram. I think you can use that in other platforms as well. And it says, "Hey there." And I input their name and then it says,
Uh-huh.
"Thank you so much for the follow. I'd love to know what about my content stood out to you and how it can be supportive to you. Oh, and by the way, be sure to join my newsletter." And then if they get back to me, which of course you have a handful of people who don't, but I would say majority of people do respond. They say something, yada yada. I send them a voice message back because I want them to know for a couple
Yeah.
reasons to do this. One, I want them to know that I am here for the
Yes.
voice message. Let's talk back and forth.
Right.
Two, a huge part of the strategy for growing your podcast, social media, or not your social media, but website, anything, is having strong SEO words that are
Right.
audience led, not not owner led, not Tracy
Right.
led, not Kylie led, audience led. So when I can hear them telling me their struggles, what keeps them up at night, their biggest struggle with
Yeah.
their podcast, those are keywords for me, and I can create a podcast episode from it. I can use those as my episode titles, and I know they're gonna be searching them. AI is gonna start indexing me for those. So that is the beautiful, beautiful thing about doing the DM conversation. And then who knows where that's gonna lead? It could lead to a new client. It could lead, and then again, you can remind them, be sure that you're on my newsletter. Or if you are a podcaster, you can literally say, well, you mentioned this. I actually have a podcast playlist specifically that I dive into teaching XYZ. You mentioned it. Go ahead, grab it. So it's like the opportunity with this is endless. And again, people are
Yes.
so craving. Like I can't tell you how many people are like, I can't believe you just like sent me a voice message. You took the time to do it, and it takes
Yes.
a minute or less.
Exactly. And you know what? You can do it anywhere. You can be out walking the dog and
Yeah.
send them an audio. You could be riding your bike, although I don't recommend it, but you could be mountain biking. Just kidding. I take that back. I think that's a dangerous example. Don't do that.
Oh man. But
Yeah, but
it's true. And the other cool thing is when you think about how long it might take you to create a reel, we'll just go with Instagram since we're kind of on that. But think
yeah.
about, I'm not against reels and stories. Those are fine and there's a place for them. But the amount of time it takes you to create a reel, you could
Mhm.
literally message, 10, 20
Correct.
people back.
Correct. I was just having this conversation yesterday with Julie Solomon. I don't know if you follow Julie; she's amazing. But she would love this conversation because essentially, the people that were in the room with us were saying they needed more followers. They needed more followers. They needed more followers. And I was like, you don't have a leads problem. You have a conversion problem. And
Yeah.
we need to go deeper with the people that are raising their hands to want to be connected to us. And that's what you're saying, Kylie, is this person, Tracy Beavers, raised her hand by liking my post, and you're doing it in a very genuine way. And the other thing I love about sending an audio is it's you, and I can tell it's you,
Mhm.
and it's not a bot.
Yeah.
Because there are like ManyChat drives me insane in the membrane. I can't stand it. I got caught up in somebody's ManyChat bot, and they had said DM me on Instagram, and here I am in this circus wheel of bot situation, and I finally just got frustrated and left. I thought, well, they told me to DM them. That clearly isn't going to work. So, oh well. But yeah, but I love what you're saying because then that you are uncovering their needs, which that's sales 101. Go
Can I
ahead.
ask that too? Because you mentioned ManyChat, and ManyChat just what in the last month or so released where you can like now message a follower automatically with ManyChat. I haven't opted into it. I haven't done it because
Yeah.
I do this manually now. The beautiful thing is on these platforms, you can save that canned message. So it's just as quick. And
Yeah.
people can tell a ManyChat message looks different too.
Yeah.
So you can see, so they can see it. So I think that stands out to them as well. But yes.
Mhm. I think so too. I want to talk about podcasting for a second because I know this is your jam and it's what you teach. Um, and I know that you believe in growing the email list. Whatever we're doing, whether it be being on Instagram and connecting with people in the DMs or drawing people into our list so that we can talk to them in the inbox. When it comes to your podcast, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see podcasters making when they're trying to grow their email list using their podcast?
Oh, well, first, I think is not utilizing dynamic ad insertion.
Okay.
And really, well, actually, I should back up. The problem that most people are doing is that they're not figuring out the topics, the keywords, the SEO rich keywords that their audience is craving, wanting, using in their
Yeah.
day to day life. Because the premise of everything we do that is the foundation. From
Right.
there, we create podcast episodes that are
Mhm.
so organically discoverable for these
Mhm.
people, and
Mhm.
then they binge the podcast. Or
Right.
we create lead magnets or playlists that are
Mhm.
specifically speaking to this pain point. So we're just recording, thinking we're doing episodes that I would like, so they would like. And
Right.
then we're not using the keywords in the episode title. So we're not organically getting discovered. So
Right.
nobody's actually discovering us to get onto our email list. And if they do, I don't even invite them to get
Yeah.
on my list. And so I see a lot of podcasters kind of falling into that cycle.
Mhm.
Other thing is just not using their podcast as like not creating lead magnets based on all of their podcast episodes, because
Yeah.
this is content you've already created. Why create more of something
Uh-huh.
when you can give them a podcast playlist or bundle of sorts, or create a podcast quiz and use that as a lead generation thing. Get
Yeah.
them onto your email list first, and then we can always nudge them about the podcast as much as we need. Oh, and by the way, I have this offer. And
Mhm.
so I think that that is a really big thing. And another thing is just people saying, well, I put it in my show notes.
Right?
Nobody reads show notes anymore on the platforms. Like
No.
people are reading show notes. And so I would say those are the biggest uh-ohs that I see podcast
Yeah.
making.
So they need to say something in the audio, like, if you're loving what I'm saying and you want to dive deeper into it, go grab my checklist, and then you give them the URL, a very easy URL to remember. You're absolutely right, Kylie. The only time I will go to the show notes is if somebody has something that I really, really want, and they're like, the link is in the show notes, and then I'm like, oh, okay, but it's still an extra step. I wish they'd just tell me what the URL is. So
Yeah.
you mentioned a podcast quiz. I know this is something you get so excited about and you really want your clients and students to do. What makes a quiz so powerful for podcasting and for growing the show?
Okay, this is a great question. So it's interesting because a podcast centered quiz is great for growing the show, but more importantly, it's great for growing your email list and
Mhm.
then getting those people who come through the quiz into
Mhm.
whatever your offers are and the right offer for them.
Okay.
Because our ideal customers and our ideal listeners are all slightly nuanced. And the one thing that you have might not be the perfect fit for them. But if you can not only bring them into your email list, oh, by the way, here's a playlist, a podcast playlist that's
Mhm.
specifically made for you, right? I
Mhm.
think of my client, Holly Haynes, has over 600 podcast episodes. Somebody comes in, they find her, they're new, they'll scroll through, they'll probably pick one that they like. Maybe it's not
Mhm.
even her best. I mean, we all have those, right?
Yes.
And it's like, okay, I'll listen to that. Maybe I'll stick around, maybe I won't. But if I say this playlist is specifically for you, I have 600 podcast episodes. Here's 10 episodes made for you based on your quiz results. They're going to binge those, right? It's the guide,
Yeah.
it's step by step, it's the whatever they need. And
Yeah.
then they fall into that funnel where not only are they using the podcast, which is such a beautiful nurture tool because they get
Mhm.
to learn who you are, maybe some personal tidbits, how you teach, how you coach, your beliefs, like the things that make you you, and that is what people really want, right? They want that relationship with the podcast host.
Mhm.
It's like they can hear you in their head eventually. So
Yeah.
we're developing that relationship with them. And then we're emailing them and we're
Yeah.
nudging them and we're giving them testimonials from our clients. And then we're like, by the way, I have this product that's so perfect for you based on your quiz results. So
Right.
it goes so far beyond the podcast because when we can personalize their playlist for them,
Mhm.
it's a no-brainer because now they're going to become a super fan because they just listened to 10 episodes that were so spot on for them. But now they're
Yeah.
hooked to who you are and what you do.
I love that. So that podcast quiz, because people love quizzes and, they get to learn about themselves, but then you're also giving them this curated playlist that feels really special.
Right.
Similar to sending them an audio DM, that feels really special.
Mhm.
Sending them a curated list of things that they're interested in and saving them that step of having to dig through 600 episodes, that's really special. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk about engagement with the podcast. Like getting, and I know you taught this last fall, that it's not so much about downloads anymore as it is about followers, right?
Right.
Is that
Mhm.
still true?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you were talking about somebody raising their hand, a
Yeah.
follower clicks the button. They want to follow, they want to subscribe, they want to raise their hand and be notified every time you have a new podcast out.
Yeah.
Downloads still have some bots in them,
Uh-huh.
and they're up and down. Why? Because iOS update happens, or a certain streaming platform goes away, and we no longer have the
Yeah.
downloads coming in from that. So it's very fickle. But when we can think about followers or even engaged listeners or
Mhm.
noticing patterns and metrics like that, how many people are coming from our podcast onto our email list? Those are the
Mhm.
juicy things. Those are the things we want to see.
Got it. So if somebody they've created their podcast, they're all excited about it, and they're just not getting as much engagement. They're not getting as much list growth. They're not getting as many followers as they feel like they should. And what are some things that they could look to optimize that might help overcome that?
Good question. So, first of all, I know I go back to this, but it's again the foundation. You probably didn't do the research that you needed to do to figure out what your ideal, I say customer listener interchangeably,
Right.
what words they're using, what words they're
Mhm.
searching, what words like strike their soul and make them say, this podcast is for me. I have to give it a try. And so
Mhm.
once you know those words, you can go back, you can add a tagline to your show name
Yeah.
that doesn't even have to be marketed anywhere else. It's purely for Apple and Spotify because Apple and Spotify are their own search platforms. They're
Uh-huh.
not competing with Google. So, yay for us, we can
Yeah.
literally use that to our advantage. Same with our description. We plug in our keywords in there, and then
Mhm.
every episode title is an opportunity for you to organically rank, be organically discoverable to your ideal person. So, those are all things that you have to do. I think the other thing also is just like assuming that you know the content your audience wants to hear based on what you think and you know. And again, it comes down to having those conversations. DM is a great way to do that. Or
Yeah.
having quiz results that tell you about them. And then that's going to be the lead for your podcast topics. And then it's
Mhm.
going to be a heck yes, every topic after every topic after every topic. So,
Love that. There's some things that I know are overlooked. And we can't, oh gosh, we can't be perfect about everything in business, right? And this is why people hire you, is because you help them figure out the things they've overlooked. But what's a really cool, high impact way to promote the podcast? Because, I teach, I don't want you to be online 24/7. And we've talked about that. How can I promote this podcast without feeling like I've got to post it all over social media all the time?
Mhm. Okay, well, first of all, we talked about organic discoverability, so we're not going to dive into that. But two other
Right.
ways that are tried and true is become a guest on other people's podcasts, right? Do swaps if
Mhm.
you need. Love those. The
Right.
other thing is create relationships with other
Mhm.
entrepreneurs who have communities.
Yeah.
Go in and do a training in their community.
Yeah.
And then give them a playlist that is an
Yeah.
extension of what you taught. Oh, and by the way,
Mhm.
book a free consultation with me or anything like that, or take my quiz. And so using those strategies works really so well. Those are tried and true. Those aren't going away. People
Mhm.
want that opportunity to see you, get to know you, watch you teach, all of
Yep.
those things as well. So,
I totally agree with you. Borrowing other people's audiences, a lot of people call it BOPA. It's the term I've heard tossed around in the last 6 months. But that's one of the strategies I teach in my ecosystem too, is collaborations.
yeah.
If I've gone live with people that do LinkedIn lives regularly. I've been a podcast guest, summit speaker, and going back to having those authentic conversations with
Yeah.
people, that's
Mhm.
where you uncover the potential for a collaboration.
Yes, yes. That's what I was gonna ask Tracy is how do you start those conversations? Because I think it's one thing to speak and start a conversation with your ideal listener or customer, but
Right.
like reaching out to other entrepreneurs can feel intimidating. Am I gonna hear back? Like, how do you reach
Yeah.
out? Because we both probably get emails all day long from people who want to be on our podcast or this
Yeah.
or that. It's like none of them feel authentic.
Right. They don't. In fact, bless their heart is all I can say, because I think there's somebody selling a pitch template, because I'm not kidding, Kylie. The same week, two different people used the same email to pitch me. And I was like, oh my stars. Okay. You got this template
Probably
from somebody.
ChatGPT.
I don't even know. But I was like, it just gave me the ick, you know,
Yeah. Yes.
as the kids say, it gave me the ick. So, yeah. So what I do is, when I'm, again, going back to Facebook groups, or let's talk about communities in Mighty Network, Circle, Heartbeat. If you're in a community where there are people in that community that share your same audience, then it is very easy, in my opinion, to slide into the DM. Send them, if you're on Facebook, send them a friend request so they're far more likely to get your message. If you're on LinkedIn, send them a connect request. And then once they do, you could just say, hey, Kylie, you and I are both members of the Be a Confident Entrepreneur group with Tracy Beavers. I love the work that I love the messaging you have on your profile about helping podcasters, grow their lists and use the podcast to grow their business. I share that same audience, and this is what I do. Are you open to a collaboration? Do you want to set a 15-minute coffee chat and just talk about how we could each leverage each other's audiences to grow our own businesses? That's a very genuine human way of saying, hey, I really like you. I like what you're doing. And if somebody, there are people that will still be rude about that, but those aren't my people. You know what I mean? So if you just send them an audio so they can hear your voice, I think that's super powerful. But yeah, you just basically open it up by emailing them or DMing them and saying, hey, you've got a cool audience. I like what you do. I've got a cool audience. You don't know what I do yet, but I think you might like it. Let's talk about working together.
I love that so much. And I agree. And again, going back to just being human and showing up and just, talking about, even if it's I saw you post about your family, traveling to XYZ. I don't know if I was there recently. This coffee shop was great, or, just like letting that humanness come through as well stands out. The other thing I love to do is sometimes I'll create a Loom video, just a short Loom video, introducing myself. It's like, okay, she's human. I did that for Kate Kordsmeyer, and she's going to be coming on my podcast. And I'm just so excited that, and she's not on social. And so that'll be another great conversation as well.
Yes.
Okay, Tracy, are lead magnets dead in 2026?
You know what? That's a really good question. And nobody's ever asked me that question. I think that basically, now for me, a lead magnet, what I help my students understand is that having a free Facebook group, that's a lead magnet because it's a top of funnel strategy that grows your list. Having a podcast, to me, is a lead magnet because that's a top of funnel strategy. But I think there are some things that my audience is no longer looking for. They don't want a checklist. They don't want a cheat sheet. They want like a quiz, something juicy. They want a short video, maybe with the checklist. They want something that they're going to actually get a quick win from. So I think if your lead magnet is going to be truly of value, then yes, it's going to work. But if it is, hey, just download my, worksheet for 10 things to watch for yada, 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 and it's something that they could find through AI, it's not going to resonate. Just like people are saying that courses are dead in 2026. Courses are not dead. What's dead in that environment is the do-it-yourself course that you just buy and you have to sit there and do by yourself. And there's nobody there for you to ask your questions of. There's nobody there to say, you're doing a great job. Yes, you're on the right track. And so the people that, like you and I have been talking about, the people that are loving on their audience, they care about their students and clients, they're answering their questions, they're available. Those are the people that are going to shine in 2026. So I don't think lead magnets are dead, but I'd love to know your opinion. Kylie, what do you think?
Okay, well, I agree with you that I feel like the checklists, those types of things they're overdone. Again, ChatGPT will give them a quicker answer without being potentially on an email list they don't want to be on. However, what I have found is more of if you can be like authoritative, State of the Union type freebie, like I did the 2026 podcast marketing trends. And so and that I've had like 200 people sign up in like a month and a half, like which is good, and just started running ads to it too.
Nice.
And it's performing great in ads. My CPL is huge and really low, which is great. But so I think if you have that angle, it could work, but the checklist and stuff, no. What I will say, I've been testing since I started, because I really only started my business just over a year ago. It was January of 2025. So it's been, you probably think back to that. It's like you test, right? You test a lot of things. And I knew I didn't want to get stuck in the rabbit hole of creating freebie after freebie that didn't perform. So I'm like, what happens if I just create a really juicy newsletter and I promote how juicy my newsletter is and how unique it is, And that has been doing well. I use
Love
that
it.
in a lot of places. I just drive people and I make it sound, I say, I figure out the industry updates as for the podcaster, so you don't have to stay on top of it.
Mhm.
You know,
Yes.
there's tidbits that are, I keep you updated on
Mhm.
or networking opportunities and all the
Mhm.
things. And I literally, like I said, my open rate is so good. So, so
Love
good.
it.
Like 60%. And people email me all the time just telling me how much they love my email. And I think people are moving towards that type of a newsletter, and I hope
Yeah.
they are. And it works so good as a
Yeah.
free resource.
No, I really like your newsletter, and I recently changed my emails. Um, gosh, it's probably been about 90 days now. I changed it up. The format's a little different. It's kind of a it's kind of like a newsletter where I give them a visibility and list growth tip. Then I tell them, what I think I titled it something about what came out of my mouth on the pod this week, telling them about my latest podcast episode, and then what happened over on my YouTube channel. Just being funny about it, and but then also showcasing people that are doing awesome things. Like when I'm an affiliate for Liz Wilcox and her email marketing membership. I'm going to put that in there. And then I also try to give them some glimpse of my personal life, which may not be a great idea because I am a little quirky. But I lately have been talking about the bird feeder camera that my husband got me for Christmas and all of the species of birds that are in our backyard and how I can identify them by sight and sound now. But anyway, it's funny. And then I'll include a picture of, like the one I did this week was a brown-headed cowbird that was in the camera. And he looked like he was doing this electric slide or something, the way the camera caught him. And I was like, I dance when my dinner arrives too, little buddy. It's,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, check out this bird. So
But that Tracy is, it's like I think of all the clients that say, "Well, oh, should I do this? Because so many people are already talking about this and that." Sure, but they don't talk about it like you do. They don't have the humor that you do. And that's what sets you apart. And that's why people fall in love with you and want to continue
yeah,
to work with you and then refer you and then listen to your
yeah,
podcast and all the things. So I love that angle. I love it so
yeah.
much.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So before we wrap this up, because I could talk to you all day, and that I think our listeners might get tired of it, but I would not. I want you to share with everybody that's listening to my show right now. What's the name of your podcast, and where's the best place to connect with you, Kylie?
Yeah. So I would say go to Apple, Spotify, your favorite listening platform, type in podcast growth tools, and that's my podcast. So definitely be sure to hit the follow, subscribe button there. If you want to connect with me on a deeper level, go to podcastmarketinghub.com/subscribe. Again, my newsletters are kind of
Yes.
the part and pride of my company. Sure, I use a little bit of AI to refine, but really it's me, speaking just like you, Tracy.
Mhm.
And then go find me on Instagram, Kylie J. Chandler, and DM me. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Just chat. I love, love, love meeting new people, hearing about your podcast, your
Mhm.
goals, all the things. So,
I
um,
do too.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
you too, Tracy, please share where my audience can go and learn more about you.
Yeah, thanks. So my podcast, we launched it about a year and a half or so ago. And I, you know, I don't know. I guess people just, it rose to top rank 5% on Listen Notes, which I don't know if that's a big deal or not, but it makes me happy to know that people
Yeah.
love the show. So it's called Create Online Business Success. And you can find it anywhere you listen to your podcasts. Also, I mentioned my free Facebook group. It's called Be a Confident Entrepreneur. Come join us. We have over 4,000 online entrepreneurs, and we do fun free events every month. I do a live Q&A, Ask Me Anything for my members, and I also do a free networking session for my members. It's the first Friday of every month, and we usually have about 45 people that come, and they love the breakout rooms and the music we play and the prizes we give away, and it's so fun. Like we've been talking about, we've got to find ways to connect with our audience on a deeper level, especially in 2026. And those are two things that I added last fall in an effort to get to know my audience better. And it's been beautiful.
Oh, I love that. Well, Tracy, I think I love your approach to business. I love your approach to list building, how genuine you are, and so proud of your podcast. I think it's been so fun to watch it grow. And thank you so much for the opportunity to do a podcast swap. This was such a blast.
It was. It was so fun. And I love your show too, Kylie, and your newsletter. I do. I read it every single time.
You're so sweet. All right, Tracy. Well, best of luck with everything, and we'll talk soon.
Yes, ma'am.